Блин, я забыла запустить на ютубе. I'm sorry. Oh. I am so disappointed in myself. Так. Не надо, блин, сделать это грёбаное сердце каким-то более выразительным-то, а то нету в этом сердце страсти. Эу, а где мьюзик? Так. Нет, это херня какая-то. Так. Так. Что-то тут не то, но я, блин, не знаю, что именно. Ёперный театр. Так. Так, 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 так. Sorry. Так. Так. Так, окей. Так. Так, 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 так. Ну, конечно, у меня опять не играет, блядь, музыка. Ладно, включаю видос тогда, шо уже.
When I made my video about how a handful of entitled voice actors ruined the SAG-AFTRA video game strike overnight, honestly, I was expecting not just them to hate me, but all the voice actors combined. Because this video didn't just talk about how a few voice actors were entitled and very annoying, it also criticized SAG-AFTRA, the union behind the strike, and their sometimes very weird, counterproductive behavior. And of course, I also criticized the strike itself, which was handled very poorly by SAG-AFTRA with minimal transparency, all while encouraging these entitled and unprofessional voice actors to continue doing what they're doing, which was ruining the reputation of all voice actors. That was until a few weeks after I uploaded that video when a friend of mine reached out to me. This friend of mine in particular happens to know dozens of voice actors who voice for games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, and many anime dubs. They proceeded to tell me that these voice actors actually loved my video. But then, as I was shocked by the statement, they took it a step further, telling me that whenever a voice actor was confused about the strike, they would send them my video as the explanation, which I thought was crazy. Now, as you can imagine, I was blushing like a teenage girl who met their favorite K-pop idol, but that unfortunately didn't last long, because the morbid reality hit me in the face. And that reality is the fact that there are voice actors paying $3,000 to join SAG-AFTRA, all while paying them a percentage of their yearly income to stay in the union, and SAG-AFTRA couldn't even do the bare minimum and explain to them the strike that they're in, to the point where these voice actors have to go to this dumbass's channel in order to understand what the hell's going on in a strike they're supposedly a part of. But as ridiculous as this already is, today things have gotten worse and the stakes have never been higher. US-based voice actors are being ditched in favor of overseas voice actors, and SAG-AFTRA for a while was not budging, receiving the best, last, and final offer and stating that they were going to send yet another counteroffer, risking the entire industry. Every voice actor was shouting at the top of their lungs, "Please end the strike so we can get back to work. It's been 10 months. I'm about to be homeless." But SAG-AFTRA took a ridiculously long time to finally budge and only did so on June 9th, 2025. That's more than 1 month since receiving the final best and last offer. And you have to wonder why. Well, thanks to an anonymous source, we don't have to wonder anymore. I was given a series of messages from members of the negotiating committee of SAG-AFTRA stating multiple times that they had no intentions on ending the strike anytime soon. Here's an example of someone on the negotiating committee sending this message shortly after my video came out, saying, "We are in the middle of a bargaining session, but some outside parties have engaged in a campaign to influence performers and we need to address it. Please look for a link from SAG-AFTRA in the morning." And when they say campaign to influence performers, they mean, oh, someone is telling the performers the truth, which makes performers want to end the strike and get back to work. We need to address this. Even going as far as encouraging other voice actors in that private Discord to not vote yes on ending the strike if a vote is ever held. Yep, you heard that right. Someone who's meant to stay impartial for the sake of the greater good, influencing other people to change their vote. These same negotiating committee members are being celebrated right now for being able to finally end the strike when in reality they never had any intentions to do so. On Twitter, I hinted that a video like this is coming on the 11th. What followed quickly afterwards was the Discord going on lockdown. They're worried, and they should be. And if you thought this wasn't enough, SAG-AFTRA's website was inaccessible to anyone that didn't have a US-based IP. They're getting gradually more scared of outside influence, and when you watch this video, you'll understand why. So without further ado, first, a sponsor that doesn't have an annoying mascot in their game. Nostalgia is a funny thing. You might have grown up with video games, but they just don't hit the same anymore today. You look back at when League of Legends or World of Warcraft first launched. The excitement, the hype, the memories. But unfortunately, today, nothing hits the same. Well, you're not the only one who thinks that. That's why a team of developers got together to develop Corepunk, a game that combines elements from the OG World of Warcraft and League of Legends to create an MMORPG with PvE and PvP elements. It's still in early access, but they just released a massive update. You can now trade gear on a global marketplace with other players. A new class, the Defender, just came out, wielding a sword and a shield and bringing in classic tanking capabilities with a lot of combos. And of course, you have Prison Island, a PvP and PvE survival dungeon where you try to grab as much loot as you can and escape. And this is without me mentioning the new dungeons coming soon, as well as the Battlegrounds mode that features 12 versus 12 PvP gameplay. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to click the link in the description or the pinned comment to join Corepunk Early Access today. Thank you, Corepunk, for sponsoring this video. Alright, so on July 26, 2024, the video game strike had begun. The main reason centered around it was AI protections for voice actors. But as we saw in my last video, the contract they want signed is pretty damn long and has way more than just AI protections. Like how, for example, they want to make it very hard to hire non-union actors, people who are not a part of SAG-AFTRA. And if you do, you need SAG-AFTRA's direct approval, which can take a long time. And even if they give it, there's a time limit as to how much the voice actor can work for you before they are forced to join the union. Seeing that all these demands were not straightforward at all, the strike was not making much progress even 8 months after they had started. One of the games that was most affected was Genshin Impact, since it's a live service game. They have a set schedule with set updates which have voiced story missions. And little by little, you started seeing a lot of characters being muted. But hey, the community was fully supportive even though their story content was not being voiced. They wanted voice actors to get what was best for them, and no one really questioned the strike. No one really pointed out how SAG-AFTRA was fighting against AI while signing agreements with AI companies at the same time. These things were not on anyone's radar until March 26, 2025, when Jacob Takanashi, a Japan-based voice actor who has nothing to do with SAG-AFTRA, took on the role of Kinich, a Genshin Impact character, from a striking voice actor who was not voicing the character for months. This resulted in a handful of very loud and unprofessional voice actors to attack him publicly, dogpiling him. sometimes going as far as pocket watching him, saying that he had bought a house recently and calling that out. And other times, there was even one instance where a voice actor said, "Hey guys, I'm looking to recruit someone for a voice acting role, except that one guy," referring to Jacob Takanashi. It was later revealed that Jacob had no idea a strike was even going on, something that was very embarrassing for all these weird, unprofessional voice actors. But of course, no one embarrassed themselves more than the voice actor behind Paimon, the character that talks the most in Genshin Impact. If I had to hire someone, okay, to destroy the reputation of a strike, I would hire Corinna. Give Corinna a 6-figure salary because I know Corinna will do an amazing job in this regard. Posting this unhinged rant while also telling everyone that, oh, Paimon is still voiced actually because I'm handicapped. I need to pay medical bills. But this made everyone take a step back and think, wait, so you took on a job for money, right? So Jacob is doing it, what, for fun? He's doing it for money too! And this was one of many incidents highlighting how hypocritical Corinna and the other entitled voice actors were. Meanwhile, SAG-AFTRA, instead of denouncing this unprofessional behavior, decided to directly participate by tagging Hoyoverse's games on Twitter and telling them that they should discuss things. The final chapter of this incident was when Joe Zieha, a voice actor for Genshin Impact and many other things, made a video explaining the strike once and for all. And in it, around the 4-minute and 31-second mark, he said that Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, and any game under Hoyoverse was not in any way, shape, or form part of the strike. That these voice actors were striking in solidarity with the strike, but this was not part of the strike to begin with. This was the final nail in the coffin, especially for the Genshin Impact community. Not only was their support waning for the cause of these voice actors, but they just realized that this was never part of the strike. They missed out on voiced characters for nothing. This realization made these voice actors that participated in this very unprofessional behavior get flooded with hate comments. No matter what they posted, their reputation was permanently tarnished. So they all became refugees and permanently switched to Blue Sky. And that became, and I will use this word lightly, their echo chamber. Here's why. Here's a voice actor who made a block list of anyone who disagrees with Corinna or any other entitled voice actor's opinion. If you don't know what a block list is on Blue Sky, I subscribe to this and it'll automatically block anyone who is on this list and anyone who gets added in the future. Thanks to this, the majority, if not all, of the entitled voice actors in question made this their main platform in which they retweet and spout the same things that they believe in. Most of them never admitted any wrongdoing. This was where we left off in the last video.
Блин, я тут думаю просто, чем бы заполнить все-таки это сердечко, какое-то оно пустое ощущается.
The beloved femboy of Genshin Impact is very important to the story. But here's the thing, he hadn't been in any story content for a very long time. So when version 5.6 of Genshin Impact was announced recently at the end of April, people were extremely excited to not only meet him again, but go back to the starting area. People's happiness was cut short though when they realized, wait, is Venti even going to be voiced? This was an important question to ask. His voice actress, Erica Harlacher-Stone, is a known SAG-AFTRA member. She's part of the union. And seeing that other union members were striking Genshin Impact and other Hoyoverse games even though they weren't a part of the strike, people assumed that she would be doing the same thing, until we realized she didn't even have a choice. On Erica's TikTok, a disgruntled fan left this comment saying, you know what, we'll figure things out for you. You clearly don't give a damn about us or the game. We will be demanding a recast and I pray to God you lose this role. You don't deserve it. To which Erica replied with, bruh, I'm trying to come back. SAG-AFTRA has been sending threatening letters to us and it's been very complicated. I'm coming back soon. If it had been my choice, I would have been voicing the whole time. Sad face. Yeah, this goes deeper than you think. And I just want to take a second here to remind you that not all voice actors are like Corinna. In fact, the majority isn't. The majority is like Erica. They just haven't said anything because they're scared of SAG-AFTRA, because then they risk getting kicked out of the union or shunned out of the industry. But Erica was having none of it. She was tired of losing opportunities and she was tired of voice actors having their reputation get destroyed just because of a handful of very bad apples. One of her fans asked on TikTok, does this mean some of the other voice actors will be back in the 5.7 update? By the way, love your work. To which she said, I think so. SAG-AFTRA has been sending threatening letters, so it's been very difficult to navigate, but they were rude to me and I'm sick of this shit, so lol. Again, doubling down on the idea that she's been receiving threatening letters from SAG and that she's sick of the strike. The comments then continued with her saying, thank you guys for loving Venti as much as I do. I'm so sorry the strike has sucked for everyone. We didn't even vote on it. That's a bombshell by itself, by the way. But hold on a second, just for the sake of being objective here, there was a vote that was held at the end of September 2023. It was 98.32% in favor. That's how many people voted yes. However, the people who voted were only 27% of eligible voters. So the majority didn't even vote. Was that because SAG communicated this in a very bad way? It's a possibility. They usually give barely 2 to 3 days notice before an important meeting. But just keep this in mind. Erica probably means she wasn't notified, she had no idea, which is totally valid, especially with this union. She then continues, I should probably take my own advice and shut the fuck up now, LMAO, but yeah, I'm really sorry for how dumb this has all been. So even though she's been speaking out very bravely to everyone about what's actually going on behind the scenes, she's of course still very concerned with the consequences she might face with SAG-AFTRA. They could, for example, kick her out of the union, and if she relies on union health insurance, then hey, say goodbye to that. Finally, a fan asked, hey, are you going to cover Venti's voice lines and everything you missed previously? And she said, yes, I will cover everything I missed. I'm literally so over this, LMAO, we got massively screwed over and I just want to get back to work. So of course, everything she said so far is like listening to someone in prison asking to be let out. But it of course also makes you wonder, wait, do other voice actors also feel the same way? Well, actually, yeah. At least the ones who aren't unhinged like Corinna. But bear in mind, these revelations of Erica came around the end of April, beginning of May. The topic has shifted massively. It went from, oh, SAG-AFTRA's treating its voice actors like disposable toilet paper to, oh, SAG-AFTRA's literally about to make their entire profession go extinct because of how irresponsible they are. On May 5th, video game companies released best and last offer to SAG-AFTRA addressing AI demands amid 9-month strike, exclusive. This is of course a very big deal. A best and last offer is exactly what it sounds like. It means the studios are saying this is the best we can do. We are not willing to change a single thing no matter what happens. You either take it or you leave it. So many voice actors were of course hopeful that this is finally going to end. I mean, it's not like SAG-AFTRA has a choice. If they refuse this and studios refuse to negotiate further, there will be no new contract negotiations until 2028. It will be like shooting yourself in the foot with a shotgun. But more importantly, this best and final offer had exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone's. And when I say everyone, I mean actual working voice actors. Everything in green was something that SAG-AFTRA was asking for, and it was granted. Everything in red is not granted, and everything in yellow is negotiable on a case-by-case basis. So one contract may have them, another one may not. But it's not outright refused like what's in the red. As you can see, this is a whole lot of green. It's actually very impressive. And again, because of this, many voice actors were thinking, finally, like this is it, right? We can finally, after 10 months of strike, get back to work and earn some money, right? Well, no. The voice actor behind Capitano and Genshin Impact and many other anime characters in anime dubs tweeted this out a few weeks after this final offer was presented, saying, all of SAG-AFTRA membership got to vote on the interactive strike authorization. And now, even after receiving the last, best, and final offer, SAG is saying they are still negotiating. No, you aren't. It's done. The deal is good. Now let us vote to end the strike. Someone replied with, they really don't want to make life easier, damn. To which this voice actor replied with, yes, and not real sure why at this point. We can't negotiate anymore. It's either this or no more. Anyway, if this doesn't work and they have to wait till 2028 to renegotiate, there will be no more unions for big budget video games in regards to anything, so voice acting, motion capture, you name it. But all of this doesn't add up at all. In 2023, there was the Hollywood actors strike by SAG-AFTRA, and after 118 days of striking, when they received a proposal from the studios they were striking against, they held a vote, with 78% of members voting in favor of taking the contract. On the other hand, 22% voted no, and there were some very heavy criticisms to accepting the agreement a bit too early. But hey, that's what a union is. You vote on your rights, because everyone has a say. Hell, the same day the voice actor of Capitano made his tweet, SAG-AFTRA had held a vote for people who are in audio commercials, and they were able to approve their contract with a vote of 96.9% saying yes and 3.1% saying no. So how is it exactly that every other facet of SAG-AFTRA could vote when they get an actual counteroffer, but voice actors are not being given that right, which is a fundamental right of a union? Like, you have to understand, there are voice actors who haven't worked for over 10 months because of this strike. They, just like Erica, would receive a threatening letter if they were to work on video games. More specifically, ones that don't have this new contract that most haven't accepted. So this isn't just about the existential threat of voice acting as a whole in the United States, but it's about people who are literally on the brink of being homeless, needing a job. So seeing that things have gotten so bad that SAG-AFTRA finally decide to hold a vote and have their members decide what to do next? No. You know what they did instead? They held a Q&A on Instagram Live. Fucking hell. Yep, that's right. It featured the SAG-AFTRA Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee Chair, Sarah El-Maleh, and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who also served as Chief Negotiator for the Hollywood strike back in 2023. This was all in an effort to discuss and answer questions about the video game negotiations and the strike, hoping to maybe reassure some people who were panicking about the fact that their profession might get deleted tomorrow. And as you might have guessed, this was an utter disaster that was extremely tone deaf and really showed us that the people who are doing this are not doing it in the best interest of voice actors. They couldn't care less. This live Q&A was from the 28th of May, and someone uploaded the whole thing on Vimeo. One of the biggest concerns from overseas actors, especially in the UK, that question was asked, and here's how they answered it. As you listen to this, think of yourself as a voice actor who hasn't worked in 10 months. Is it comforting? Let's see.
Next question. We've heard that at least 8 AAA union games have exited the union since the beginning of May. What steps are you taking to prevent the union from losing more jobs? Well, I'll start on this and then Sarah can weigh in if she wants to. I have heard from certain back-channel sources about some games that have either started casting, for example, outside the United States or with non-union workers. The fact of the matter is that it is possible for some of these games to shift to casting and production outside the U.S. As far as producing in the U.S., if there are signatory producers who are doing games non-union, then you can expect us to take legal action to address that. But I think the most important step that we're taking is looking to try and reach an agreement. But reaching an agreement doesn't involve just capitulating to the employer position. I'll remind everybody that there was a point not too long ago where there were some people who said that we should just accept buyouts as part of the deal and make that deal. And right now, the last best and final that was put on the table with us does not include those buyouts because we pushed back on it. So I think that it's more nuanced than just a yes or no. And that's why we're actively engaged in communicating with the employer group in the hopes of reaching a deal quickly. That would obviously be the best thing that we could do to help make sure that that production resumes and continues quickly.
Yeah, so if I had to give an example to someone as to what corporate speak sounds like, absolute corporate mumbo jumbo, I would just use this clip as an example. And yeah, don't worry, Sarah will echo the same thing. It's like, hey, we're being replaced by people overseas. Can we get a move on? Yeah, but this is really about the agreement, and we'll take our time examining the agreement, and we'll get back to you, and hopefully, we'll get to a point where we're happy. It's like, come on, dude, get to the point. I'm about to be homeless. And just so you're aware, this guy right here on the left, yeah, Duncan, he makes over $1 million a year working for SAG-AFTRA. $1 million! Sarah, on the other hand, also works for SAG. I'm sure her salary is amazing, and even if it wasn't, she doesn't have to worry about not being able to find a job. As a voice actor who hasn't worked for 10 months, who's literally struggling to make ends meet, hearing these two talk about this must feel like the most out of touch. How can you sit here and so confidently say we're going to keep the strike going without taking in any points of feedback while you make $1 million a year? It just doesn't really feel right. It feels weird. You can see some comments here saying 12 gaming companies have already left. Let's please end this soon so more don't leave. 500 roles that could have gone to SAG actors. Another person says let the actors vote. Another one says let the actors vote. It's a very unfortunate situation. SAG-AFTRA also posted this on Instagram, showing what they want changed in the last best and final offer. There are 3 essential items here, right? And the first one, the most important one that they really want to show you first here in the slideshow, is that they don't like companies generating new materials with replicas during a strike. Just so you know, AI replicas are actually part of this contract. Voice actors are allowed to consent if they're getting paid for it. So this right here really bothers SAG-AFTRA because it takes away power from them when they're striking. In fact, during the end of the Q&A, you can hear the pain in the voices of these two people when someone has a question about Side Letter 6 projects. Here's how the Coalition of Dubbing Actors explains this. Remember this name because they will be very important later on. But in a nutshell, they say it's a serious flaw in the SAG-AFTRA video game contract that allows projects that have begun production before a strike was called to continue without disruption. This coalition then says, we strongly urge all actors to avoid auditioning for and working on SL6 projects. But here's the thing, this is in the contract, and it wasn't talked about enough when the entitled voice actors were losing their minds on Twitter. So SAG really don't want another SL6 situation because it gives them less power during strikes, and they're willing to sacrifice this current strike just to hear back on this, reason 2, which is fair dispute resolution, and reason 3, which is close the loophole. You can read these for yourself, but these 3 right here here are why this strike is still ongoing and why
куда
we're listening to
уезжаешь-то?
everything. But most voice actors are already very happy with this right here. Everything that's in green that we already discussed, these three things aren't that big of a deal for them. That's the problem. But when you're making $1 million a year, you might not be able to see that. Anyway, during this Q&A, Mr. $1 Million here had this to say about a question. Watch.
But I just want to say, whether you agree with or disagree with the committee or any individual member of the committee or whatever, this committee, these members have devoted contract, and they've done it not because it's their paid job to do it or for any other reason than because they care about helping make sure that our members are protected and that this contract is the contract that members deserve and that we achieve the best possible contract at the table. So I just want to say to everybody out there, you know, it's totally great to agree or disagree with the committee. We welcome differences of opinion, but I hope that everybody will really recognize and respect the commitment and contribution that your committee members have made on your behalf as part of doing this process.
You hear that? It is okay, even welcomed, to disagree with a committee currently negotiating this contract on behalf of all union members. Very beautiful. I mean, SAG-AFTRA is a democracy after all, right? Well, no, not really. The negotiating committee has its own agenda, and they're not willing to listen to anyone who doesn't share their own opinions, as we're about to find out in numerous conversations that they've had in a private Discord. Alright, so remember the Coalition of Dubbing Actors, otherwise known as CODA? According to their website, they have spent decades creating quality voice acting to localize amazing foreign projects so that they can be experienced and enjoyed by audiences across the world. That's wonderful, but if you were to join their private Discord server, you would never guess that that's what they do. No, instead you'd think that it's some sort of radicalization pipeline that's meant to make you think that this strike can go on forever. This server has hundreds of members, mostly people who are new, but many who are in SAG-AFTRA as union members. Here you'll see many messages from people on the negotiating committee, as well as people who are also present on Blue Sky and who spend a lot of time pushing the same ideas there. Starting us off, here's a message from a high-ranking negotiating committee member, garnering a lot of reactions from people in the server. Here's what they had to say very shortly after receiving the last, best, and final offer. They've given a last best offer. Next may come a last best and final offer. Next, they may try to walk away. The selfish elites will claim they can leave forever because they don't believe we are worth anything. Disney and Warner Bros. Can do that. They don't make games, they just license them. Formosa and Blindlight, which are recording studios, will be in danger of going out of business, which is why VoiceWorks broke away and why Blindlight just found a way to get a game on the to be announced without having to sign themselves. Insomniac and the other plot-driven studios will finish their SL6 games and then be faced with asking actors to scab. Voice actors like Jen and Troy will likely do that out of spite and selfishness, but the studio's reputations will suffer and they will lose access to their on-camera celebrities. I just want to point out, this is a negotiating committee member calling out two very well-known voice actors in the industry, okay? All right. They continue. Call of Duty, Fortnite, and all of the purely celebrity-driven content will have to come back. They've built their business model on it, and on-camera celebrities are not going to work non-union during a strike. So we may have to see how long people hold out while we continue to make money with the interim. We will likely update the interim with new understanding of the tech in the next few months to lure in more games, and we'll see who wins. That is my best logic-driven approach without the fear-mongering weighted in. So yeah, this feels like a motivational talk to people who are worried about losing their jobs, while calling out two very well-known voice actors by name, as well as saying a very funny sentence here: we will continue to make money with the interim, referring to the studios who've already signed the interim agreement. It's funny to me because voice acting in video games pays like nothing, and these roles in particular with the new interim agreement are very far and few in between. But you have to remember, even though there's hundreds of people in this Discord, many of them are new voice actors, ones that are up and coming, and they might be a bit naive. I mean, you have a negotiating committee member here telling you all these things. They must be right. They're a veteran. In fact, in this one's particular case, they used to be a board member of SAG-AFTRA. Who am I talking about?
Ладно, попробую включить музыку еще раз. Может, Stream Elements уже начал работать.
Voice acting company by the name of Ethovox, the only premium voice service created by actors and empowered by AI. They claim to be an AI company that is ethically sourced. Interestingly enough, SAG-AFTRA signed an agreement with Ethovox on October 30th, 2024, a few months after this video game strike had even begun. But you know what's the most interesting part of all this? Zeke used to be on the board of Ethovox. And as his description says, he's a professional voice actor, NAVA advisory board member, and former SAG-AFTRA as one of the members of the negotiating committee for the strike, even posting official information directly from SAG-AFTRA in channels like Strike Talk Official. My source actually tells me that Zeke isn't just back to be a negotiating committee for SAG, he's actually back to be a full-time board member at SAG-AFTRA. This of course only makes him and the union look worse. Another name you'll see a lot in these conversations is Kyle McCarlin. He is not someone on the negotiating committee of SAG-AFTRA, but he is someone who shares Zeke's views almost one-to-one. This can be seen on his Blue Sky account, with his profile picture being the SAG-AFTRA on strike icon and dedicating almost his entire This message right here gives us kind of a glimpse of the mentality Kyle, Zeke, and many others in this Discord have when he said, and I'm still sitting here thinking, blow the whole contract up. They don't want to give us what we want? Let him walk. Kill the deal entirely. Interim becomes the new IMA, and when they inevitably come crawling back to us, they give us the terms we should have gotten from them 2 months ago. But it doesn't work like that. So yeah, of course, this can be seen as a lighthearted message, but the tone here doesn't really change in the next messages either. And it's this idea that they hold all the cards, that the studios need them more than they could ever need the studios. When that is not the case. Many jobs are being lost as we speak to overseas actors, and this is a very irresponsible thing to think, even as a joke, in such a serious setting. Here we can see a voice actor asking a question and tagging Zeke, saying, could I have a suspicion confirmed if someone is FICOR and advertising/working in the future, right? Now, just as a reminder, being FICOR means that you're kind of part of SAG-AFTRA, but you're just giving up all the benefits of being union in order to work non-union without consequences. And even though you're technically under SAG-AFTRA, SAG-AFTRA sees you as a scab, which is wonderful, but you can still qualify for health insurance if you're working union projects. So the whole point of becoming FICOR is to be able to work non-union work even during a strike. But this voice actor is wondering, does this affect their ability to work union jobs in the future? Because they can work both, union and non-union. Zeke says, it would be considered scabbing and they would never be allowed back into the union. The union cannot prevent a company from hiring them in the future, but union developers have been asking for lists of people not to hire. It continues, of course, that's illegal and unrealistic, but it's a small community. We're all responsible for our actions, and flaunting a strike is more serious than I think some performers understand. They'll be severely limiting their career opportunities in the future. So look, when you become FICOR, SAG-AFTRA tries to stop you multiple times. It's like asking a bank to withdraw $1 million cash. They'll try to stop you multiple times because they don't have the money. They gotta get it from the vault. And usually, when you become FICOR, it's already almost impossible to become union again. This message from Zeke signals that yes, I mean, they're FICOR, you can work non-union jobs even during a strike, but there might be some consequences, even though it's not written in the contract. Like, admitting this is crazy. The fact that there are union developers hoping to get a list of people not to hire. Now, of course, he does say it's illegal and unrealistic, but I mean, then he says, but I do have a feeling that maybe, just maybe, if you sign up to be FICOR to work non-union jobs during a strike, then you might get discriminated against when it comes to taking on union jobs in the future, which is kind of crazy. The voice actor chimes in and says, I mean, I would assume it's the same rules as pre-strike. If you're non-union, you're free to work whatever you want. To which Kyle says, if you're not a member, you are not beholden to any union rules, including strike rules. However, working non-union during a strike does undermine its efforts every bit as much as promoting that work does. The reason to withhold that work and not promote it is to stand in solidarity with your fellow actors, but nothing requires you to do so, other than the very slim potential for jeopardizing your future membership if that's something you want to pursue someday. So Kyle comes in, mostly agrees with Zeke, but does so in a more level-headed way, with no mention of some sort of blacklist, only saying there's a very slim potential chance of you not being able to join SAG-AFTRA if you want to, which is still ridiculous, because you're not union. Why should a strike even matter to you? Zeke then comes in again and says it can be considered scabbing. If the union is actively working to flip a game like Genshin, an actor working non-union would be in violation. Also, if the non-union games turns out to be one that was previously union and the producer pulled a fast one, it can still be considered scabbing under the current strike order. The only thing the union can do is to note it and tell you the facility is never allowed to join. So Zeke comes in again, undoes everything Kyle said, okay, like that level-headed response. And reiterates, guys, if you work a non-union job during a strike, you'll never be able to join SAG-AFTRA. And also, if you're not union working on a game like Genshin Impact, also, you're in violation. This is actually really funny to me because according to Zeke, Corinna, the voice actor behind Paimon, is someone who is never allowed to join SAG-AFTRA again because they voiced Paimon for months during the strike as a Phi Corps member. But I'm sure not all rules are applied equally in SAG-AFTRA, seeing that it's an amazing, very fair organization. If things haven't been weird enough, let's go back to Erica. When she complained to her fans that she received letters from SAG, she really wanted to get back to this. The fact that she didn't even vote for the strike to begin, the Coda Discord took notice. Here's what they had to say. A voice actor by the name of Marin M. Miller said, "It's very sad that Erica has failed to meet this moment in a way that right. That's because they're composing acting industry fan fiction. It doesn't have to make sense." Kyle McCarley said, "Single most damaging thing any one person has done to the strike efforts, in my opinion." Can we just read that again real quick? Single most damaging thing any one person has done to the strike efforts, in my opinion. Really? I mean, I think you're insulting Corinna right now by saying this. Really? Erica?
Так,
really?
не тот слой.
Literally ended the strike. Okay, this video right here ruined voice acting reputation for generations, and you're gonna blame Erica. Interesting. Then, another member of the negotiating committee chimes in, Lindsay. She says, "We're just trying to fight for AI protections, something that can't be done on an individual level. When MiHoYo makes a digital replica of her character and never hires her again, she's going to wish she had a working after. So look, these messages can be interpreted in a million different ways. All I'll say is that it's a shame. The fact that one of their colleagues for the last 10 months has not been able to voice a role they enjoy so much that means a lot to them, while being under the threat of being replaced, sucks. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It sucks to be in Erica's shoes. And I'm not seeing one message here. It's also ridiculous to me how they chose to, on purpose, right, blind themselves from the entitled voice actors from my last video. You have people openly blacklisting Jacob, calling him out, tweeting about his finances, and publicly blacklisting him from projects. And these people are convinced that Erica venting about the fact that she can't work on a character she loves due to this strike is the single most damaging thing any person has done to the strike efforts. That's crazy to me. It's further proof that we're really in an echo chamber and that if someone agrees with you, they can do no wrong. But anyway, we're now back to the message that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Yes, the person who sent it was Zeke. Performers, and we need to address it. Why is he saying that? What does he even mean? Well, at some point, Zeke said, SL6 Elder Scrolls is sending out auditions again. Let's all tell Blindlight to F off. So Blindlight isn't a developer, it's a Los Angeles-based company providing Hollywood production services to the video game industry. So the Elder Scrolls 6 hires them to do recording for them, kind of like how Genshin Impact hires studios in the US to do for them. They're not directly involved. The Elder Scrolls is an SL6 project that started before the strike. It's perfectly legal within SAG-AFTRA contract terms to work them without any repercussions, without being a scab. But Zeke's over here saying, let's tell them to F off, even though it's perfectly legal to take it. A while later, Zeke says, with all the angry rhetoric about how employers are going to walk away from us and the fear tactics used to get people to accept a bad deal, today,
Так, ладно.
audition for a
Я
game.
думаю, что выглядит более-менее нормально для того, чтобы наконец-то начать лайнять.
Tell me again what these companies won't do. So look,
Sorry,
I'm very happy
unreasonable crash out.
the tiered
Yes.
budget independent interactive media agreement. Employers who still want to sign voice actors during the strike must either use this contract or the interim agreement. And the reason why this contract exists is because it allows studios with less budget to pay voice actors less. And if they have a bigger budget, they have to pay voice actors more. But yeah, although minimal, it does have clauses for artificial intelligence, as Zeke said. One important thing to keep in mind, though, is that the cutoff date to being able to use this contract is in 2026, which makes it that much more important for SAG to finish negotiations. Otherwise, even this beloved contract of Zeke will not be applicable anymore. However, what we need to understand here is that this is just one game, not all games moving forward. But it also doesn't really make much sense to me. When voice actors were having a meltdown on Twitter, they were told, hey, listen, the studios that Genshin Impact is hiring have AI protections built into their contracts. They said, no, this is not enough. Genshin Impact, the studio, has to sign the agreement. Otherwise, we're not happy. So in the case of Elder Scrolls 6, doesn't Bethesda have to sign the agreement, not Blindlight? And in this case, doesn't that mean the studio hiring Blindlight has signed the tiered budget agreement? Doesn't really make much sense, right? I mean, things in the strike barely do. But what I really want you to see is the messages that come afterwards. A voice actor says, also, to be honest, I would rather have no deal and have the producers walk away and go non-union or elsewhere than to have a deal, because at least then we would be covered by the law. So I'd rather call their bluff. To which Zeke says, I hope enough people show up and express that, because we expect expect a wave of take the deal votes. Okay, let's just take a step back here, all right? This is someone who is a complete extremist saying, I'd rather have no work at all if it means that I can't work under a union contract. Something that most voice actors who are already financially suffering after 10 months of no work would completely disagree with. And then you have someone on the negotiating committee saying, I hope enough people show up and express that, because we expect a wave of take the deal votes. This is a negotiating committee member openly saying that they don't want people to vote yes on taking the deal if they ever hold a vote on the final, last, and best offer. This is a clear agenda as a member of the negotiating committee, but it actually gets way worse when you really think about it. So remember how only 27% of eligible voters actually voted in favor of starting the video game strike? This totaled around 34,687 members. We have a negotiating committee member out here trying to influence hundreds of people to vote no to the next vote regarding the final, last, and best offer. If that's not vote manipulation, I don't know what is. And that is extremely weird. Do you understand why this is ridiculous, why I'm making this video? You are a negotiator, you try to get the best deal. And then when the vote comes in, you shut your mouth and you let your union members decide what's best for them. But here we see that there's a very clear agenda, and it's alarming. This catastrophe doesn't end here. After Joe released his video explaining the strike, the code of Discord had a lot to say about it. A voice actor posted the video saying, well, Joe made a video, to which Kyle McCarley replied with, barely scratched the surface of this, but I don't like him saying that Hoyo isn't struck, referring to Hoyoverse games like Genshin Impact, Zone Zero, and Honkai Star Rail. Kyle then continues and says, I do love the part where he breaks down the fact that a union agreement would end their work stoppage, that they absolutely have the resources to do so, and that many cast members would have qualified for healthcare on Genshin alone. Because he further explains, the issue I have with that definition is largely one of semantics, but union members are striking the entire video game industry. We're not striking specific companies, we're striking every game that has inside an internet, with the unfortunately necessary legal exception for side letter 6. And I don't like that he kicks off a 30-minute video with, the strike doesn't apply to Hoyo, because yes it does, and if anyone chooses to tune out early, they're gonna miss all the explaining he does. Zeke then says, it's not all accurate, but there's more good than bad there. So again, there's a lot of new, young, impressionable people joining this Discord, and it really does make me think, are Kyle and Zeke intentionally misleading them, or can they really not read one simple article from SAG-AFTRA themselves? When the strike started on July 26, 2024, SAG-AFTRA very specifically said the 10 companies facing the strike were Activision Productions Inc., Limelight LLC, Disney Character Voices Inc., Electronic Arts Productions Inc., Epic Games Inc., Formosa Interactive LLC, Insomniac Games Inc., Take-Two Productions Inc., VoiceWorks Productions Inc., and Warner Bros. Games Inc. There was no mention of an industry-wide strike. There was no mention of a contract strike. This is a strike that began, as far as we know, still is about these 10 companies. They're negotiating the last, best, and final offer with the coalition formed by these 10 companies. Now, I don't know if Kyle is misinformed or maybe spent too much time on Blue Sky. This has never been an industry-wide strike. This has never been a strike against Genshin or anything else other than those 10 studios, period. You can even see this on SAG-AFTRA's own website. I have to use a VPN to access this. On October 15, 2024, they had made an update. And again, they said the convenience bargaining group includes Activision, Blindlight, etc. No mention of Genshin, no mention of an industry-wide strike, none of that. These people are role-playing. They think they're the main character or something. And that's what's so dangerous about it. Now, of course, I can't get their side of the story because I doubt they'll apply to it. If I were to give them the benefit of the doubt, I'd say, oh, they're a very passionate bunch who truly think that they're fighting for their own rights. And you know what? I hope they get those rights, but they're doing it in such an irresponsible way while disregarding tens of thousands of performers and voice actors in the video game industry. Not to mention that some people like Zeke who are on the negotiating committee are very irresponsible with how they share information and how they're so openly trying to manipulate the vote. I mean, there's no other way to say this. There's no benefit of the doubt here. He was literally calling on people to vote no. All our people are out there losing their jobs, unable to pay rent, unable to afford anything because they're thinking they're striking for the betterment of their own industry, when in reality, it's being handled by a bunch of irresponsible, entitled voice actors who are threatening to ruin everything. Innocent, reasonable voice actors are being hurt here, and they're getting very tired of this. After that disastrous Instagram livestream, Capitano's voice actor quote-tweeted his last tweet and said, since receiving the last best final offer, SAG's only update to membership was a half-hour IG live for the public. Members weren't even emailed. Where do we now stand, SAG-AFTRA? We are now heading towards an impasse that will kill all union video games. Paying members deserve the right to vote. He was getting tired of this, and he wasn't the only one who spoke up. Sam Slade, the voice actress behind Ambi from Zenless Zone Zero and Topaz from Honkai Star Rail, as well as many other roles, hadn't once made a statement about the strike, until now. She said, I've been careful to not say too much during the strike because I'm frankly exhausted with how actors are treating each other and I don't want to deal with it. But this is about more than just us now. Union and non-union jobs are leaving and we'd be lucky if they came.
Так.
I support the strike.
Окей, я уже столько мотаюсь с этим скетчем, блин. Я, наверное, сделаю перерыв на 10 минуточек. Потом я уже начну лайнить.
Insist our protectors to protect us if an employer plays dirty. Employers can play dirty in non-union work too, and that's a risk many of us take every day. Last time I checked, SAG animation, dubbing, and all of the non-union work floating around doesn't have protections anywhere close to...
Видеосос. Так, окей. It's break time. Скоро вернусь. Ту-ту-ту, я вернулась. Теперь надо приступать, блин, к лайну, а то аж пипец. Артфайт уже не за горами, у меня нахрен нету никаких рефов на моих персонажей. Потому что я боюсь их рисовать, блин. Так, о май гад. Боже, ну и жопа. Так. Нет, я все же тут подправлю, потому что так-то хвостик у нее будет потяжелей. Так. Let's see. Что тут у нас? Так, ну можно еще вот тут кругляшок сделать. Так, пожалуй, я тут тоже чуть-чуть изменю. Так, окей. О, наконец-то, камон. Скетч. Так. Line, color, based, Yes. Based on what? Так, окей. Let's see. Ня. The fuck is this? The hell? Йоу, what the fuck is this? Тут просто пробую другие какие-нибудь кисти. Ай! Да блин. fucking line. Come on, damn it. Wow, this is so great. Ugh. Shoo, 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 shoo. Shoo, 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 shoo. Shoo, shoo. Shoo, 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 shoo. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, wing, bam. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Да блин, стрим элемент, что происходит? У меня что-то все виджеты полетели. Что, блин? What the fuck are you doing? Они еще и не обновляются, what the hell? Oh. Сукис. Так. Ту-ту-ту-ту. А. Whoa, what is this gem? Если вы стримелемент только решил мне его показать. Это Финка Арлекина. Ой, понял. Не признала. Да блин, так. Ла-ла-ла-ла-ла-ла.
Make my wish come true, let darkness slip aside, hiding all the hope.
Knocking with my treasure.
Make my wish come true, let darkness slip aside.
Knocking with my treasure.
Battles we can win.
Блин, так. А. То.
Make my wish come true. Hiding all alone, mocking every choice. Letters
Чё у меня теперь вообще виджеты пропали? What the fuck, сука? Охуел? Чё? Ну, не то чтобы это прям что-то сильно плохое, но что случилось со всеми моими виджетами? What the fuck? Stream Elements, что ты делаешь? Ахахаха, прекрати. Вот. Что за херня? У меня еще и дискорд падает. Что происходит? О боже мой. О, no. Все падает на глазах. Nexus, сука, даже еле открывается. Чё? Что? Чё происходит, блядь? Что-то какой-то пыс-пыс-пыс-пыс. Что-то вообще непонятно. О. Ладно, будем считать, что у меня все сломано нахрен. Так. Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту. Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту.
I don't think there's anything new.
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
How long until someone makes a remix of
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
Exotic butters.
Так, exotic butters. Oh, Jesus. I am so normal about this.
Exotic butters.
Exotic butters. Fuck.
Exotic butters.
Ah.
Exotic butters.
Oh my gosh.
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
Chewy beaver.
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
Так.
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
Exotic butters.
Exotic butters. Exotic butters. Exotic butters.
Okay, but I don't think there's anything other than that.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Pikachu! Pikachu! Bum, bum, bum. Так. Пям, 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 пям. Pikachu! Oh my god, stop me, please. Help. Send help. Choo. Ugh.
We are living our lives. About with so much information. Come on, let go of the remote.
Oh, ba 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 ba. Da do 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 do.
Want it, want it, want it. Gonna show some of my identity. Get up on your feet. Catch a glimpse. Snooping round down, we'll catch you nowhere. You look tough in your mind. We all dropping our maze on relationships. Life goes on with or without you. Search for your heart,
Ah, fuck. О, начинается.
it's time to get real. Can't control the zero.
Who you drawing? Hello, Randy Raccoon. I'm drawing my original character.
Brother, watch yourself.
Yeah.
Things don't miss your chance. Find your own rhythm and dance your own dance. Be creative, try. You must know what is
Oh, man. Так,
ahead.
1 second.
Living up security.
Так, так. Oh man, oh boy, oh man. Epic, I love her hair. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's quite a doozy part of her, I guess. Так, мне надо отойти на пару минут. Okay, I'll be right back. I need to do some stuff. Just in a couple of minutes. Oh, crap. I am back. Bish, 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 bish. Так. Надо надеть перчатку. Gotta wear my glove. Okay. Okay. Ah. Touch. I'm out of time. Touch. I'm out of time. Ah. Touch. I'm out of time. Not again. There's another lie. You're out of touch. I'm out of time. And who was it? Get out of touch. I'm out of time. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Рози, ты блокируешь вентилятор мне. А, я сейчас умру от жары. Все. Мгм. I'm out of time. Another lie, out of time. Another lie. I'm out of time. Ah, fuck. Fuck. From. Рози. Рози, подвинься. Ты закрываешь своей жопой планшет теперь. Кажется, она хочет быть там, где вентилятор, но... Она загораживает мне место. Рози, прости меня. Но мне нужно рисовать. Теперь она бьет мою руку своим хвостом, потому что я посмела ею рисовать. Над ее хвостом. Very tragic. Please cry for me. Ну, хоть создание клипов работает, уже на этом спасибо. Нем. Так. Let's see. Dun. Так. Bam. Do. Oh my god. Oh, fuck. Капец. Обожаю это животное. Как его там? Пиздец. О. Так. Блин. What are you doing? I don't know. Рози, о боже мой. Нашла где лечь, конечно. О, люблю. Так, стоп, надо здесь немножко судью. Блин. Ладно. Мяу. 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 Come forth. О, фак. Жарко. Не было жарко. What the fuck? О. Пиздол. Так. Что, Рози, что такое? Пам-пам-пам-пам-пам-пам. О май гад. Так, пожалуй, я спасу и сохраню. И на этом, пожалуй, все. Становится что-то как-то невыносимо. Жарко. О. Ну что ж, я немножко полайнила, но, правда, этого, конечно, не хватило. Ой, трудно сидеть, потому что жара немного шпарит. И Рози, конечно же, решила лечь рядом, потому что, почему бы и нет. В общем, спасибо всем, кто смотрел этот стрим, кто общался в чате. Увидимся в пятницу. Может быть, постримлю Overwatch. Скорее всего, не знаю. Я, наверное, на следующей неделе, может быть, начну какую-нибудь игру. Но пока не знаю. В общем, спасибо всем. Стрим окончен. Пока!